Play this F for me up there.
That F?
Mm-hmm. You hear 7 notes? Right? Okay. What do you got in mind here?
Maybe we ought to get the tops of the stands, and she speaks.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you want me to, this tandem, can we do that? I wonder if it's been too long to do that. What would you have in mind?
Well, I spread that, and she speaks. Yeah.
This blues thing is not bad either, Bob. We could get that together pretty quick.
Which one? Oh, John. I don't know, man.
Well, it's notey, but we played that forever.
Yeah, even so.
Let's see.
How do you briefly think that this new music relates to more traditional jazz? Do you see it going more in the direction of like contemporary Western music, or is it just a linear development right out of the blues like other jazz? Or do you even think in those terms?
Yeah, you're the historian. We'll have our prominent and eminent historian, Mr. Bobby Bradford, answer that question.
Okay.
Mr. Bradford.
As a player,
You see.
I would think you know, the blues tradition and everything is still happening, you see, but as a, you know, part of the time I'm a teacher, you see, and, you know, and as John said, the history of jazz, based on all the groups that are out there now, I see a definite connection, or at least in what people are attempting to do, is to draw some serious parallels between what they're doing and what you call contemporary Western music, you know, where there are a lot of players now who are quite successful in the so-called avant-garde area, whose music does not contain an ounce of blues, no reference to blues music at all. But you see, there were successful people in bebop or in cool jazz whose music had no blues. I don't, now, perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm thinking of people who were successful in the 60s, quite popular jazz players, Americans, whose music had no blues reference at all, but they were still successful jazz performers, in that sense. So, it's my impression that, of course, all the people that I like in jazz, somehow their music is blues related in some way. It may be more oblique, you know, and some others are a little bit more deeply recessed in their music. But again, as a player, I think of this all as a hookup to an outgrowth of blues-based jazz music. When John and I started doing what we were doing here in California in the early 60s, there was nobody in the Los Angeles area doing what we're doing that I know about. 66, man. We were the only cats here playing this kind of music. Though we remained obscure somehow for a long time, all the cats in California who were interested in this kind of music and peeped us, they didn't necessarily copy what we were doing, but we made it possible for them to see that this music was a living thing, and it would give them that, you know, the thrust to get into theirs. Yeah, man. That's right. Would you agree with that, Mr. Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah, all these cats in California. Now, obviously, there's one at Coleman, and there's the Art Ensemble, who, you know, who added another dimension to this with theater, you know, if we can call what they do theater, you see what I mean, plus their music, and they're all strong players. And in the years to follow,
Oliver Lake.
yeah, Oliver Lake,
Anthony
Junior Semfield, Braxton, you know.
All these people are, and when you start calling names, it's hard to
Cecil Taylor,
not leave out somebody, but
Sonny Murray.
that there is a small group, as Bob says, of people who are playing what we call the new music, and are going forth with it, undoubtedly influencing young players and whatever.
Do you like the direction things are going in terms of musicians like yourselves getting recorded? Has there been any change? Do you have more gigs, more dates?
Not really. We are making a record or two here and there, now and then.
I don't suppose it's important to talk about figures, but it's especially in this area, if we can still call what we do jazz here, there are not a lot of cats who can actually say they completely and independently make a living playing what we're playing. Yeah. John and I teach. Some people sort of live in the cracks. You know, there's just not enough money in it. Guys not careful, he'll lose money. If John and I are invited to New York now to play, if we hang around 3 days afterwards just to look at the city, we spend all the money we made going there to play. See what I mean? Which means this is kind of a, economically, it's unreal, you know.
Unviable.
Yeah. If we decided we want to try to make a living now playing and do nothing but play, if I'm not counting any records we'd make, but that would make a lot of difference. Man, I'd be just frothing at the mouth if I could make $18,000 playing what I want to play right now, which is just above poverty wages, isn't it? You know what I mean? You couldn't live in Westwood, could you? I mean, with a family and have an apartment or a house or whatever. If you made $18,000 a year, what is that, man?
So you could pay for the garage to put the car in.
Yeah. So, and if we could make that kind of money, I think we both now would probably not teach if we thought we could make that kind of money playing in 12 months. Can't do it, man. Not unless we decide we're going to do some other stuff. Try to get studio jobs or play with Joe Schmuck's band over here and just, you know, farm ourselves out in a lot of ways, playing just anything, you know. Now, obviously there's big money in music in America. A lot of cats make, man, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year right here in L.A. who play in the studios, play with big bands, play TV stuff, you know. But they play any and everything, you know.
Which is what that's about.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different situation altogether.
I'm thinking of a friend of mine who, trumpet player I know here, said one day he left home, he's a studio player. He spent the first couple of hours doing the soundtrack for F Troop, trying to play the bugle part really bad. He says, man, I had all kinds of trouble trying to play the bugle part real bad on F Troop. So after a couple of hours of that, then we recorded some circus music. That's all day. And the guy says, okay, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's your day. But then the checks are there, right? Go to the union and pick up the bucks. It's awful hard, man. A lot of people are making a lot of records. And it may have been a poor choice of John's and mine at one point, but we have refused to have anybody say, let's make a record, and it was $500. I'm not making a record for anybody for $500, man. What kind of nonsense is that? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, people have asked us to make a record for $500. Don't you want to be on a record as if we all dying to be on a record cover? You know, when I was 18, yeah. So I could be on a record, show it to my girlfriend and my mother and all, yeah, but not 18 anymore, man, you know.
A lot of musicians in the 60s emigrated to Europe because there seemed to be better audience reception for new music there. Do you think that's still true?
Yeah, the audiences in Europe are good. They listen to the music. They're fairly consistent. They may not be super large like rock audiences, but they're consistent. You can count on going to certain festivals and have a good audience, certain clubs. Even the pubs in these countries, or bars, whatever, have in certain cities. Like I'm personal experience in Amsterdam and Rotterdam and places where I played there, ordinarily we'd call just a rather large bar that with seating where people would come in and pack the walls to hear a jazz group, playing the kind of music that we play. And any time I've ever gone there, the place was packed, and they knew what they came to hear, you see. We didn't make a lot of money, but they were good audiences. They listened to the music. You didn't have to say quiet, and you didn't have to tell any stories or anything like that. You didn't have to worry about anybody, any requests, any of this nonsense.
One of the problems with the audiences in America is that we are educated to believe, starting from elementary school, that the proper music is the so-called classical music, the European music. We aren't taught to believe that the real music, or not the real music, our real music. We aren't taught to believe that our real music is that music that has grown out of our living and our daily, the things we do every day right here in this country. I don't think our country seems to be still in a junior high school period as far as accepting those artistic things that are ours